Welcome, I'm John Caldera, president of the Independence Institute and your devil's advocate. Later on, we're going to talk to somebody of that evil David and Charles Koch empire, but first, a very brave African-American who decided to change from being a D to an R. Elbert Guillory, thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure to be
here.
Now,
you're a state legislator. You were a state house member and now a state senator in Louisiana.
That's correct.
And it's warm in Louisiana.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and you're out here.
Yes.
So another thing to start questioning your judgment. Talk to me a little bit about your history, because you've been a lifelong Democrat up to just a few years ago.
I switched from the Democrat Party to the Republican Party right about 3-4 years ago.
All right, talk to me a little bit before that. You know, I don't know how to put this any more bluntly, but on a racial profile, that African Americans vote in the mid to high 90s for Democrats. It is the largest block of voters that you can count on by a racial demographic. And why is that?
When Lyndon Johnson, Democrat President Lyndon Johnson signed the 1964 Civil Rights Act, he said, I'm going to give them a little bit, just enough to keep them quiet, not enough to make a difference, and I will have those, and he used the racial epithet, voting Democrat for the next 200 years. That mindset, I mean, that really encapsulates the mindset of the Democrat Party, which has maintained a plantation dole system that has kept my community tied to the Democrat Party for a long time.
Fill that in for me. Draw a picture. What do you mean, a dole system, a plantation system for your people? Be more precise.
A very large, we have a very high number of persons who are unemployed, a very high number of persons who are uneducated, and a very high number of persons who are receiving government assistance at the subsistence level. Not enough money to buy a home, not enough money to send our kids to college or to buy a new car, but just enough to keep us voting Democrat, as he said, for the next 200 years. We've put all of our eggs in one basket, and that has not served us well.
So why isn't the answer then, instead of giving just a little bit, why not fulfill the dream and have government provide a lot more? Is that, is that the end goal?
That's not the dream, though.
What's the dream?
The American dream is a dream of independence and a dream of dignity. If I can support my family, if I can get a job and pull myself up out of poverty. My granddaddy was born a slave, and in 2 generations, he had 2 of his grandchildren teaching at 2 of the nation's most prestigious universities.
Wow.
One, Rutgers Law School, and the other one, Baylor's Medical School.
Wow, that's the American dream.
That's the American dream.
All right, go back in your life a little bit. Was there much question as you were getting into politics that you'd be part of the Democratic Party?
Not at all.
I mean, is that just an assumption, or did your values match the party and now your values have changed?
My values didn't change. When I became a Democrat, we were all Democrats. You registered in Louisiana, in that part of the state. You registered. You didn't get a choice. They signed you up as a Democrat, and that was it.
What do you mean they signed you up? You have to agree to be a Democrat. They can't just fill out the form for you.
That is not correct.
What do you mean that's not correct?
There were no Republicans, no black Republicans in my county until somewhere in the 60s, and my parents had been voting for more than 15 years. And it was a big thing when he signed up to be a Republican. He had to go through a lot of stuff because the automatic system worked to make sure that everyone was a Democrat.
Before LBJ, and get me if I'm wrong on this, weren't most African Americans registered as Republicans, that this was the party of Lincoln and therefore that was where most African Americans lied, or am I misrepresenting that?
That was true from the 1860s through about 1910, 1915. At that point, blacks were purged from the voter rolls, period, and really did not start to vote again until the late 30s, early and mid 40s, 1940s. And that was automatic Democrat then. That's that system I was talking about.
Tell me about your metamorphosis here. Tell me what led to a change. So here you are serving the people in Louisiana. You're in the state legislature. You were in the House, then you were in the Senate. What got you thinking different? What got you questioning whether you're in the right party?
The Louisiana Democrat Party and the National Democrat Party moved so far to the left. I'm very much pro-life, and the abortion mills in Louisiana were anathema to my values and to my church, and my family.
But there are pro-life Democrats. I know very many pro-choice Republicans. That's not an issue that's an issue that jumps these labels, doesn't it?
That's only one. Guns, marriage, just there's a whole list of those. Obamacare, and so when you put all of those together, we spent a lot of time, me and the Democrats, we spent a lot of time arguing with each other, and I was uncomfortable, they were uncomfortable, and finally I could not take it any longer.
Talk to me a little bit about the fiscal issues. I mean, as a state, you're dealing with more and more mandates, as we are here in the state of Colorado. You're getting more things coming down the pike, not just Obamacare, but more regulations, the EPA, all sorts of interesting things. Isn't there a feeling of states' rights that this is Louisiana, where you're from, and you want control of it?
Yes.
And you weren't getting that through your party.
That's absolutely correct.
All right. When you decided to make the change, how did you make the change? Because this has become a little bit of an internet sensation. Tell me what you did.
I was sitting on the Senate floor. My mother called me. She was 103 years old at the time. Some comments had been made that she considered very racist by a prominent Democrat, and she...
What was said?
The head of the Louisiana Democrat Party said that the only reason that anyone would oppose such a grand idea as Obamacare is because of the president's color. Mom thought that was absolutely atrocious. And she called me and said, "Elbert, did you say that?" I said, "No, Mother, I didn't say that." "Do you know who said it?" "Yes, I do." "Do you participate in that group of people?" "Kind of on the edge of it, Mom." She said, "Well, you just better be careful because I don't want you to bring dishonor upon the family." We hung up that phone, and I immediately called my registrar of voters and changed my registration.
Right there on the floor?
Right there on the floor of the Senate, yes.
And did you announce it there?
No.
When did you announce it?
I announced it at a convention of black activists some months later. And I did a little video to explain to the folks back home why I was changing, and a lot of people heard it.
And when a lot of people heard it, how angry were they?
A few of the Democrat Party members were really upset about it, and many of them were really happy that I was gone.
You were trouble.
And many of my constituents just wanted to know why I did it and whether I was making a change.
And when a constituent goes up, "Hey, I voted for you as a Democrat, why did you switch parties?" How did you encapsulate? How did you tell them? You didn't have this amount of time. What did you say when they called up and they were angry?
I said, "You didn't vote for a Democrat or a Republican. You voted for Elbert Guillory. And Elbert Guillory and his service have not changed and will not change." And I showed them. And my level of service as a Republican did exceed my level of service as a Democrat. So they're all happy with it.
Have you faced re-election as a Republican?
I have not faced re-election as a Republican, but I'm seriously considering running for Congress, and I expect to have very much 95% of the support that I had from Democrats before.
There are some prominent intellectual heavyweights who are African American. Thomas Sowell comes to mind. Other great political activists. A lot of times they're called Uncle Toms. A lot of times they're called tools of the right, that they're sellouts, that they're sellout to their people, that they're ostracized. And I've got friends who are African American, and they're conservative, and they kind of keep it to themselves because, you know, one thing to come out and say you're gay, that's acceptable. You don't want to be a black man saying you're a Republican. That's a tougher one to do.
It has not been easy because of the propaganda by the Democrat Party. And the Republicans, as Republicans, we have permitted other people to define us. And we just have to do a better job of explaining who we are, what we stand for, and why we stand for it. And that's what I've been doing for the last, since I made the switch. I've been from coast to coast, explaining to audiences and as often as possible to black audiences why it's important that we not put all of our eggs in one basket. That hasn't worked for us. It's not working.
I could see a nice country club Republican set having Elbert come in and talk about why, as a black man, he decided to become a Republican, and they hold their Scotch glasses up to you and go, that's the way to do it. But I still don't see very many black faces when I go to conservative events, when I go to conservative places. Is that going to change?
Yes, it is changing.
Is it?
Oh, yes. The outreach by the Republican Party over the last 3 years has been gratifying. We are reaching a lot more, reaching into the black community a lot more, into the Latino community a lot more, Asian community, very successful. So it's working.
I'm gonna believe it when I see it. How's that one?
I understand.
All right, you've got an interesting button on. You didn't come to Denver just to talk to me. You're here for a buddy of yours.
Yes.
What are you doing here?
Casper Stockham.
He owes me money. No, go ahead.
How much I'll pay?
Yeah. Tell me about Casper.
Committed to our community, committed to our state, committed to our nation, committed to those values that you and I were talking about a little earlier.
And he's looking to
passionate.
He's looking to run for Congress here in the 1st Congressional District.
Yes, he is.
And
year. I'm here helping him stump and raise funds. And
Elbert, thank you so much for being here. We'll do it again, and we'll see you at the next Republican meeting. And stay tuned.